I'm at 11507 Applejack Court in Cincinnati, Montgomery. I think it's Montgomery. Could be like Deerfield Township. Not really, but it's at any rate, doing a sanitary lateral inspection for the purchase of a home. I'm looking for any structural issues, root intrusion, anything that would be concerning to the buyer. Our access is clean out here. In the rear center stack in the basement, just behind the basement bathroom here. And so it could be a long way based off of this line is way off the street. It's a couple hundred feet now. I didn't see any outside cleanouts, so we'll look to see if there's any other cleanouts that may be accessible. As we go, we should be able to identify them if they're in there. But we only have about 200 feet of camera, so hopefully we'll be able to get out far enough to where it ties into the main. But there should be other accesses, especially at this time period. There should have been at least a clean out every 100 feet. This is one right here, actually, but it is inside the house and it's most likely underneath the carpet. So if we need to, we can get access, at least mark where that is. We don't need to get access to it, but at least mark to see where that actually is. Oh, great. So, because this house was built in the 80s, in 83 there was definitely PVC, as you could tell, but the developers at that time, if the developers were in the started the neighborhood in the 70s or earlier, they used clay on the exterior, and you can see how wonderful that works. At the time, they may not have trusted the new PVC, but of course, as soon as we get out to the edge of the to where it switches over to clay, we have a bunch of root intrusion right there at the changeover in materials. So hopefully the clay doesn't have a ton of root intrusion in it because of the placement of the house and all the trees. We'll see as we go, but the most common thing that we see, clay is not a bad material. It's just the most common thing we see with clay is root intrusion. Because originally this stuff was only made in like 3-foot sections, and so there's a lot of opportunity, a lot of connections, a lot of opportunity for that packing to shrink up and start allowing root intrusion, and that's usually what happens. Now in this case, where they changed it over, hopefully this is new enough to where you don't have, that packing hasn't shrunk yet, but the where that changeover was, a lot of times what it is you're going from a 4-inch to a 6-inch or something similar, and then that PVC is inserted into the clay, into the larger diameter exterior line in the clay. And so what happens is the roots, they have no way of really connecting that well enough to seal it, because you're changing materials, so you can't really glue PVC to clay, stuff like that. And so the root intrusion got in right at that changeover in materials. And so right now I'm running the water. That's why we haven't moved anywhere. I'm running some water to hopefully be able to get my camera lens clean, which I want to be able to see a little bit, because once we hit those roots, and there was some stuff built up on the front of those roots, and then all these spider webs and things, tends to get the front of the line all gooey. There we go. Luckily we're hitting this turn well enough that it might give us a little bit of splash there to try to work this back and forth a bunch and see how well we can do with getting that cleared off. So we can see, but again, a bunch of spider webs, a little bit of root intrusion. A little more. Hopefully we can get that to actually rinse off here. Mixture of those things are obviously not helping to be able to see it all. So I can see well enough to tell that there's not a whole lot of root intrusion. There may be a little bit here and there, but the worst part so far is just that I keep building up and going through all these spider webs, and if you've ever had a spider web on your face, you know that it's pretty hard to get off. And so when they get on the camera lens, it can make it even worse. So I'm trying to see, and I'm also trying to figure out a way to see if I can rinse this off. I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to try to run some more water in the downstairs bathroom to add to this, and hopefully it can help carry the camera a little bit so I can get a little further out. Okay, I've added a little bit of extra water, tried to flush the toilet. Hopefully this can help carry the camera a little bit. So it is. Probably well over 100 to 150 feet from the main, based off of how it's laid out, but I only saw a manhole in the middle of the cul-de-sac, and then another one up in the grass, but it's hard to tell if that is storm or if that one is also sanitary. Surprising thing is that I'm out a very long way and I haven't come across another cleanout. And even at this time, I believe it was even code to have a cleanout approximately every 75 to 100 feet. So it's pretty surprising that I haven't come across another access point. I mean, now so far, the line has looked really good structurally. So the way this is turning, this may hopefully be just about where the connection on the main is. Where it's changing directions. Hopefully there, a few feet away, is where we need to go, because I'm not sure how much further I'm going to be able to get the camera to go. Yeah, I'm at 170 feet and having a hard time getting any further. Sometimes we can let it sit for a minute, let a little bit of water build up behind it. Very surprised that there's not some other access point. I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to try to locate exactly where the line is and see how close we are to at least the property line. But that's as far as I can get. It's reading about 192 feet on the reel, but that is all I have. So I'm going to pause the video, check to see how far off the property we've made it, and we'll go ahead and pull back and finish the inspection. Okay, so we are off the property. This is in the street, maybe 15 feet still off the main, because the main goes the opposite. It runs away from this driveway, and so it has to go an extra like 15-20 feet to tie into the main as it's going on the other side of the cul-de-sac through between the two houses. But we are off the property. Anything beyond this point is the responsibility of the Metropolitan Sewer District. So, as we pull back, we will take another look at all the clay. Like I said, everything looked good structurally. Really happy with the overall condition of the line. Just have a little bit of root intrusion, mainly right at the connection between the PVC and the clay. And like we talked about earlier, that has a lot to do with just the inability to really fuse one to the other. You can see all this is in great shape. All these connections here are nice and tight. We obviously ran multiple fixtures, a couple different showers, and this utility tub, and we were able to see how well the line was handling that amount of water. It barely got up above maybe a quarter of the height. So the functional testing part of it went really well. A little bit of goo there on the left-hand side. Nothing of real concern. So basically, right now it looks like all the seams are holding up pretty well. And a little bit of, you can see there is that packing, that rubber packing that they used at the time that this was installed. And these are actually, this is a new enough clay. And this is towards the end of, there's not a whole lot of clay that was installed after this point. We're getting up to that point where I think there's some, it's kind of frustrating because it looks like there's some, the spider webs are kind of slowly falling over top of the camera lens. And see I'm dragging back some roots here, and this is where the transition is. And so there's a lot of, you can see right there at the transition, that's the only spot right here at 38 feet. The only roots are at this spot, and sometimes these are hard to clean because of the smaller diameter pipe going into a larger diameter pipe. So as you're cleaning it, it's hard to get those large enough because they're coming in from kind of behind where the cutter head can get, and so it would clear this amount here, but it may leave some there. So usually what you can do is put a chemical down there. The good news is all the clay joints are doing very well and holding up well against the roots. It's just at that joint, at the transition, where, like we talked about, there's no real easy way to fuse that the roots are getting in. So I will stop when I get back to that spot where I recognize the clean out right here. And I will locate this, and I'm going to put a piece of tape on the floor, and that way you'll be able to at least know where this is, because the line will have to be cleaned. They can probably clean it from here, and you could always do some of that chemical treatment. The Root-X is the name. It's kind of the Kleenex to tissue idea. It's the most common brand name, and it's easy to remember. But you could do that maybe once a year, maybe a little less, but I think it recommends it once a year. And that will kind of kill back the roots, keep them from growing real thick. And that's something you would put down before you go to bed, and let it sit in there without any water flowing for 6 or 8 hours, and let it kind of foam up. And then you flush it once, basically flush it far enough down the line to catch on the roots, let it sit overnight so it can kind of kill the roots off. It doesn't kill the tree, but that would probably be the best bet. I would have it cleaned initially before taking occupancy, and then think about that yearly treatment or semi-annual treatment to try to make sure those roots stay down. Because that can obviously grow thick enough to cause a buildup and cause a backup, and then it'll be backing up into your basement, and that's the last thing you want. Another little key to that too is, if there is roots, you want to avoid using things like wet wipes. Even if they say flushable, they are not. They'll make it through your toilet, they'll make it through a lot of the lines, but in a situation like this, if they catch on the roots, they don't break down. Toilet paper is designed to disintegrate for a reason. Those wet wipes, like even the ones that say flushable, they don't break down, and so if they catch on anything, a lot of things can build up behind it. So just a little word of caution there. If you're going to use them, throw them in the trash. But yeah, I'm going to pause here. We're going to locate that clean out, and then we'll finish up. Alright, so I put a piece of duct tape on the floor. It is in the center, right underneath the water shutoff, it looks like. But there is access there if needed. Like I said, that would make it a little easier on whoever's cleaning out the sewer. But again, I would recommend cleaning that spot out and then doing some root treatment periodically. And then from there, you may want to have an inspection, another inspection done in 5 to 7 years, just to check the amount of root intrusion and how the maintenance schedule's going. If it's working well enough, or if you can extend it, or if you need to, do a treatment a little more frequently, or have it cleaned out again. But something you want to watch is that root intrusion, because as long as those trees are there, they'll continue to come back. It's water and fertilizer all in one place, so there's nothing they like more. But overall, the line looked really good. Structurally, I'd say everything but that spot at 38 feet, the transition, looked wonderful. No defects at all, other than that root intrusion. So that's going to end the inspection at 11507 Applejack Court in Sims Township.